Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games, back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We had a gentleman bring his coveted, his precious Gottlieb Abra pinball machine. This is a one-player wedge head machine. It looks awesome. So he wants us to fix it for him. So we're going to fix it for him. What do you think about that? Check out the stenciling on the side. It's got a wizard on it. Check out on the top. There's also a wizard. Look how the bottom is all yellowed and the top isn't. I wonder what's up with that. What's the deal with that? Is the whole bottom yellowed? Yeah, the whole bottom's yellowed and the whole top isn't. Let's see if we can find a serial number on it. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? I wonder if those match. Whoop. Whoop. So the bottom is number 3250. You didn't think it was going to get this interesting this quick, did you? All right, now what do you think? Does that head match that body? Where is the serial number for the head? Maybe it's just been repainted. Look how people have scratched their names and their scores in it. We're looking for a serial number. Okay, it's, what do I say it was? 3250. It's got to be on here somewhere. It's got to be, right? It's got to be on here somewhere. Dan has left his mark. I don't see one. I was pretty sure they put it on the head too. I know on the Bally's they do. You wouldn't think they'd put it right on the face, but then again, they put it right on the face of the cabinet. We might be able to tell inside. Well, it's not on there. I don't see it. Unless it's... Well, that was a big letdown, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't see it. Okay, let's look in the back box, see if there's anything, any way else we can tell. I think I got the keys for it right here. Let's see here. That's not the key. Maybe it's this key. That's the key. Look, it says 6/28/74. Maybe 1974 they bent this. Okay, that says cabinet 1397. Is that maybe a 5? See how the end's faded, so that might be something faded too, or maybe not. 1397. That might be the number of the game though, like the factory code number for this title. I don't know. It kind of looks like the head's from a different machine. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, it says clear as day 1397, but you would think it would be stamped in the edge or something. All right, well, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Oh, maybe it's behind the back glass. That couldn't be. All right, well, I'll keep looking. So anyway, here is the machine. The little half moon credit setup. I guess this is maybe the ball count unit. We've got 4 score reels. We've got a N, M, L, and F relay. We've got some riggage They've been rigging it, but only to a light, it looks like. See the light? So they have tied a wire to that. And then they ran it over here with bare wire. And then that is attached right there. So they ran a jumper. I don't get that. Wait a minute, have they got it on the wrong one too? So they've got it running from this purple wire, which is this bottom setup here. Yeah, I don't know. Something's screwed up with that. Maybe it's supposed to be like that. I don't know. Well, no, there ain't no way. We'll figure that out. We'll get that right for them. Okay, so there's not much in the back box, including no number. You'd think there'd be a serial number. I really do think this stamp here is not the serial number. I think that's the model number of the machine. Okay, so let's look down in the cabinet. See, here's another one. It just says pedestal. Let's look down inside the cabinet and see what's going on in there. Aha! It is the right top. That's wild. It looks all faded, but I guess for some reason the top's really white and the bottom's kind of yellowed. So it is the correct top. So, 3-inch flippers. These two plastics here at the bottom are cracked. I looked online, I couldn't find them. There's a little rollover lane here. That's supposed to, if that's correct, which it probably is, you're supposed to have like a little ring here and a little ring here. We've got those. And the one's missing from this side, and so they just put a rubber band over it and a rubber ring over it, and they blocked off the light under it, so we'll fix that. We've got 2,000-point pop bumpers down low on the Playfield, which is kind of interesting. And we've got some chipped up targets and stuff, but the Playfield itself is in very nice shape. It's very clean. I mean, not clean, but I say clean. When I say clean, I mean it's just in good shape. It hasn't been hacked up or painted on or anything. Got a little bit of damage there where it's coming apart, so that's going to flake off a little bit whenever we do it, but it probably won't be enough that we have to repair it or anything. The kickers are up high on the Playfield, about halfway up. You've got a target right here that's broke, little bullseye target that's broke. And then you've got 10 nice drop targets. And you've got 4 rollovers at the top. That's kind of interesting. You've also got the old rubber band trick going on here. You know, you don't have a rubber pinball ring, so you put a rubber band on it. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. This plastic is also a little broken. But this should clean up and look really nice. Once we get new white rubber rings on it, get it all cleaned and waxed, it should look pretty good other than the chipped plastics. Okay, now as promised, inside the machine. So there is the Mech Board. Again, looks very clean, doesn't look hacked up at all. Got the little stepper unit there. Got the ball return relay. Left target bank sequence relay, right target bank sequence relay, second shoot relay, start relay, 500-point relay, hold relay, advanced bonus relay, and the back one is broken off, probably tilt relay maybe? Something like that. Score motor doesn't have a ton going on. Transformer back there looks just fine. Usually they are. Gottlieb's famous chimes. So there are the 10 drop targets, and there is another relay bank back there. It says rollover relay, rollover relay, rollover relay, rollover relay, rollover relay. A lot of rollover relays. There's some more here, probably for the pop bumpers. Look how the flippers are lined up. I haven't seen them set them up like that before. That's pretty cool. Yeah, everything's kind of standard. And then look what we have here. This is the masterpiece of the Brim decaffeinated coffee, electric perk. Must not be too old though, because it's got a UPC code. I think those came out in the late 80s, I think. Maxwell House. But probably from the late 80s. Some bulbs and stuff down in there. Some fuses, a relay. Cool. So we will leave that stuff right here with the machine. Alright, so we've been doing this thing now lately where we try to turn them on in the condition that they come in just to see what the customer was having to deal with. You know what I mean? So someone will bring us a machine and they don't really know how to fix them, or that's not their thing. And so to us it's real easy, just we go through and we adjust everything, clean everything, etc., etc. But to them, they don't know how they work, or they don't have a knowledge like that. So I've been trying to just plug them in and just see how the customer is seeing it, right? So what does it doesn't work look like to the customer? And I didn't talk to this customer, so I'm not sure exactly if the whole thing just won't boot up or what. You can sometimes tell by the score reels. Look how the score reels are all on 0. So it's resetting them at least. And there's no... Is there a pinball in it? I don't think there's a pinball in it. Didn't we just see one down in here? Yep. So we're not going to use this old rusty pinball, but we'll put it in there just to see if it'll kick the ball out. Alright, let's see if it'll do anything. I guess before I start it, I should show you, or try to start it, I should show you some of this back glass. It looks to me as if the back glass is heavily faded. All of this pink was probably red before, and sometimes you can tell right on the edge of the glass, or maybe the light was protected from it a little bit. So that was probably all red. So this was probably all red as well. The Abracadabra, I don't know if that would have been in white or not. We've got blue, we've got green, white, red, purple. Yeah, so it may just be that the red is faded and everything else is kind of still how it was. Like all that would have been red. With all that red, it probably just would have been a lot brighter and more vivid looking. But the orange still looks nice, the yellow still looks nice, the blue still looks nice, the white still looks nice, the green still looks nice. Look how they did the shading back then. I always thought this was so cool, the way they did the art. See the girl standing there, and they're using yellow as like a highlight, you know? And then if you look, the yellow overlaps the blue just a little bit and makes green. Look how cool that is. Like look at his nose. Look how they've done that. So this is just like a point where they were just getting crazy with the artwork. So it says Gottlieb's Abracadabra. There's a cauldron or a fire there coming up out of the bricks, and the blue is smoke. And I guess this is kind of supposed to be Merlin. He's got an M kind of displayed on his chest there, even though it's just a design with his beard. There's a girl standing there with some kind of frog hobbit looking thing. And then in the background there's these eyes looking at all of them. Trippy, man. Very cool. So if you look at this little thing, see that little white block there? That's because there's a piece of foam on the back of the back glass used to keep it from rattling. And then there's also one right there. So the reason that's discolored is because that foam has been on there and it's messed up the paint. But that's a very nice, cool looking back glass. And if I had this machine, there's no way I'd replace that, because it doesn't look like it's flaking at all. It's just really faded. but that's all right. Okay, so we're going to try to turn it on and see if it does anything. Oh, there's a... Okay. There is a pull chain switch attached to it. That's not factory. But we'll see if it works. It might. It works just fine. Let's turn her back off. Now it's on. Now it's back on. Perfect. So that noise you're hearing is the coin door relay is coming on. And that's just basically so when the game's off, a little metal piece moves inside of the coin mechs so that if you put a quarter in while the game's off, it'll come right back out. So the only way for it to take a quarter is if it's actually turned on. It says we've got 9 credits. Let's see if anything happens when we hit the start button. Or the replay button, I believe they call it. Okay. So why is it doing that? Well, it's scoring 1,000 points over and over again. So something that's 1,000 points is locked on. Nothing's 1,000 points really. I guess the pop bumpers are if they're lit up. But you'd think they'd score 100 if they weren't lit up, and you'd think that it would, you know, turn off at some point. So since we never got 500, 100 points being scored. I don't know. So no easy fix on that one. But I can see where the customer would be like, well, the pinball ain't working. And notice too, it didn't kick the ball out. So yeah, it'd be pretty dead in the water like that, wouldn't it? Alright, so I think the first thing we'll do is what we always do. We'll start working through some of the connectors, and maybe first we'll do some of the stuff down in the bottom of the cabinet. So I'll pull the Playfield out, and we'll look at those relays that are down there. Alright, so I got the Playfield out. Easy peasy. Just unplug it. Makes it a little easier to work on the stuff. Now some people take this board up and put it up here so they can work on it too. I've done that before, but to be honest, it doesn't really bother me to lean over into the cabinet and work on it. Some people it does, so depending on if that's an issue for you. I'm kind of tall, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm leaning over the edge of the cabinet pretty easy. So just depends. But I just leave it in there usually. And one thing I did notice, though, that I didn't see earlier, there's a big cut in the back. So I don't know if that's somebody trying to break in or why they did that. But somebody purposefully did that. That's not factory. See how the spray, there's like white spray paint on it? That's from when they painted the cabinet. Right? And it's not painted through that crack. That crack was cut through there later. And it doesn't go all the way to the outside. So I don't know if somebody was trying to get in it or what the deal was. And it's not a natural place that it's pieced together because it's crooked. See how it curves there? So I don't know. The crooked kind of stupid. I mean, the money's up here. You put the... Look. You put it here. Why would you think it goes back? Come on, people. Come on now. All right, so first I've been looking through these little control relays here, right? And we haven't done any Jones plugs yet, although you could do these little ones and clean them up just to make sure. But a lot of times these ones that are individual ones, they're pretty clean already. I don't know why that is. Maybe because when you put the thing in there, it's easier to move it so it cleans it all. I don't know. But those usually don't even need cleaned. It has a fuse there, and the fuse holder looks pretty good. And we have some Jones plugs up here that go to the coin door. So we'll mess with that. But I figure first we'll do these relays. So I've been cleaning through them. There was a few that are a little bent out of shape, but really you're just trying to clean the contacts. Because if the contact is covered in carbon or dust or dirt or whatever it is, whenever they touch, electricity won't flow through them. And that's the whole name of the game, right? Well, the name of the game is Abracadabra, but the magic can't happen if there's dust all over the contacts. So this one in particular is the left target bank sequence relay, it says. And if you look, see this contact right here? It's kind of hard to see because you're seeing the back ones too, but there are 3 blades, a small one, a long one, and another small one. So when this thing pulls in, you can see that a little better. Whenever this relay pulls in, it's going to pull this actuator down, right? And when it does, it's going to open up the top one and close the bottom one. And then when it lets go, it's going to open up the bottom one and close the top one. Right? So that's how you want it to be. Now this one is already open. These 2 right here. So when that pulls in, it's going to close it. And then open it when it goes back up. So you're just checking to see if they all do what they're supposed to do. And then there's one down here on the bottom on this side that's open right now, and it closes when it pulls in. Now when you pull that thing in, I'm pushing on the top just because it's easier in the video, but you want to kind of do it the way the relay will, where it's pulling it flat. Right? So this side, it looks like it's all adjusted. I still need to clean it. We use a little point file, just a flat file that's not very aggressive to do that. So again, on this side, see how there's 2 here in front of my finger that are closed? So when that goes in, it'll open. You want to make sure it's doing that. And then here there are 2 more that's closed. Now they're open. And then there's 2 that's open. Now they're closed. And the bottom ones are open and now they're closed. So you don't want to adjust them a lot. I wouldn't adjust any of those that we just looked at. Clean them. Sometimes when you clean them, though, you bend them a little bit out of the way, and so you have to readjust them. But you don't want to go through and adjust every contact in the game, because sometimes you'll think, oh, it's not quite touching right, blah, blah, blah. These things have a timing to them that they kind of wear in, you know. So I don't adjust every switch. If it obviously is open and then you pull it in and it's still open, that thing needs adjusted. It should close, right? Or if it's closed and when the relay pulls in it's still closed, well, it needs to be adjusted. Something's wrong. But if it looks like it's pretty much doing what it's supposed to do, I leave it alone. And then we can trace it down later if we still have problems. So like I said, I went through and cleaned these. They were all cool. I'll clean that last one and put it down, and then we'll look at the score motor, which is basically more of the same. It's just they're arranged in circular fashion. So I put those back, and I started in on the score motor, and I found something very important that I want to show you. So wake up if you've been sleeping through the video. Let me show you something that if this happens in your machine, it will cause you all kinds of freaking problems. Now I'm going to leave it for now, and then we'll test and see if there's an issue, okay? So I want you to look at this switch right here. I think it's that one. We'll find out in a second. So I'm going through and I'm cleaning up the contacts with this file. But let me show you something about this one contact. I hope I can get in there close enough that you can see it really well. Yeah, okay, see that contact right there? Now watch whenever I touch it with the file. See how it's spinning? I was just talking to somebody about this on email. See how that's spinning? I don't know if you can tell, but the contact itself is moving. It shouldn't do that. If it's moving, that means that it's not pressed into this switch properly. So, which means that it's not connected to the blade of the switch properly. Which means it's not going to conduct electricity properly, probably. Right? So basically you have a bad connection there. So what happens is whenever this turns around, these touch. Let me get it to move. They're touching. See how it's connected right now? So that's what it's supposed to do. So this blade is connected, or this blade is connected to this contact really well. And then that contact is connected to that contact, but that contact's not connected to this blade very well. So you've got a problem right here. Even though it's clean and it's touching and everything's good, the damn contact is loose in the blade. And so you don't get a good flow of electricity through it, and the thing doesn't work right. So if you ever get one where you think it's this switch and everything looks fine and you just can't figure it out, check that contact and see if it's loose like that. If it's loose like that, that's probably your problem. So it's real easy to fix though. You just kind of scuff up the side of the contact and the blade a little bit and put just a little tiny bit of solder on it. And it'll just solder it in place where it doesn't move. Simple to do. But basically they shouldn't move. Like if we look at this one next here, this one. See how it's not moving at all? That's because it should be pressed in there where it will not spin. Right? So we need to watch that for later. Now it could be the way this one is moving or the way that it is, it's not an issue. But if we have an issue, that's our problem right there. So if that's kind of your St. Jude of contacts. If all else fails, if it's a lost cause, you can't figure out why it's not working, it might be one of your contacts is loose in the blade of the switch. All right, so for our next issue, I'm going to show you too what you're looking for whenever you're messing around in these, okay? If you look at the wiring, it's all this cloth covered wiring, right? And they have this cat gut or whatever wrapped around it to create the loom, right? And see how all this looks really good? Everything's nice. You can tell the colors of everything still. Look how bright and colorful that is. It's because the Playfield has been mounted in here and the door has been shut for so long that dust hasn't really got in here all that much, and it's just kind of how it originally was. Like look at that one, look at the colors. Very cool. But, you know what did get in here? A rat probably got in here. So if you look over here, this is the harness, and so we've got probably 15 wires running through there. And as you can see, some of them are down to the bare wire. Like that brown, I'll call it, wire there. Right? And it's laying over here, touching something else. So that's a dead short. So that thing is not going to work with those wires like that, because one of them might be, you know, the power to turn on the lamps, and one of them might be the power to turn on the coils, and if those two touch or whatever, big problems, right? You can see another little spot here, right? So it's just a couple wires here. So what I'm going to do, that's right in the middle of the harness. So the wire that's running through here is connecting like over here and then way down here, you know, so it's taking this whole harness apart is a big problem. So you kind of need to fix it in situ, right? So there's different ways you could do it. The best way to do it would be take it all the way apart, put heat shrink tubing on it or something, or just replace the entire wire or whatever. You could also use electrical tape that's like the paint kind. Have you seen that? You can paint on electrical tape now. It's like rubber that you paint on and it turns into rubberized coating basically. I'm just going to do it the old school way and put electrical tape on it very carefully, right? Because I don't really have the ability to take it all apart. It just, the time commitment would be huge, and I'd have to charge the guy for that. Which, you know, I don't know that he wants me to charge him 2 or 3 hours to take all the wiring apart and put heat shrink tubing on it and all that and put it all back together. So we're going to isolate a couple of them that are down to the bare metal and then put tape on them. Now if you end up with one where there's just a little spot that's bare metal or the covering's missing, as long as it's not touching anything that's also peeled back, you're fine. But you know, we just want to clean it up and dress it up a little bit, and then whenever I'm done, I can put a little electrical tape around it too to make sure that it all kind of stays how it is. So I'm going to mess with that a little bit and see if I can clean it up to where definitely nothing is shorting together, and hopefully that'll keep that from causing us problems whenever we try to start it up. Alright, so I took the little clips off there and separated them all out, and it's hard to see from this angle, but all of these are fine. There's no wiring messed up, no covering messed up there. These 5 have problems. So 1, Actually, that one's fine. The gray one's fine. Okay, so there's 4. So there's a brown one, a purple one, a blue one, and this red and white one. So these 4 we need to give attention to. The other ones are fine. Okay. So I'm going to wrap those up where they have problems. Try to do it as neatly as I possibly can. We'll go on from there. Alright, so that's the 4 that were messed up. Nothing is bare anymore. And then there were 2 here that were the same way. So I had to do them. So it's not the perfect way to do it, but it's better than leaving them bare. So I'm going to wrap them back up. I'm going to put a little bit of tape on them just to hold them in position so they don't move, and put the 2 clamps back. And we'll see how it looks. Alright, so that's how it ended up looking. I think it looks very presentable. Okay, so this is, I guess, the bonus unit or something like that. But his lock slapped the hell up. So this side, when it pulls in, nothing happens. Right? Okay, now this side, when it pulls in, it won't hardly pull in. See, now it's going to be stuck, right? So why is that? It's because all of these pivot points, like here, and here, and there's one down under there too, down under there, all of those are just all gunked up. So you can take it all the way apart. Sometimes you get lucky, you can just drip some oil on it and it'll free up, but basically we've got to get all those properly moving. So that's the problem basically with it. It should be whenever this pulls in, this little thing pulls in and pushes it up, and when this pulls in, it releases back with this spring pulling it. Right? But it's basically stuck right now. So let me work on that a little bit and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so I removed this shoulder screw or whatever it's called and cleaned everything and put it back together. And now, well, I can't do it with one hand. Maybe I can rig it up here. Let me see if I can rig it up without bending the guy's screws. Perhaps. Basically now it moves real free. You get that point. You get it. And this one steps it up, and that one resets it, right? Now it hasn't went back in because this thing stops it. So you got to, right? But it's good to go now. Okay, so we got that part doing what it's supposed to do and oiled. This side, we've got to clean up these rivets. So you can take this loose. Whenever it's just a few of them like this, a lot of times you can just do it while it's still together, since that's moving so well now, right? So I'm going to use just a little bit of really light grit sandpaper, like 220 grit, something like that, just to clean that up. You're just scuffing it up a little bit to get all the grease and dirt and stuff off of it. You can also just take it all apart and clean it with a degreaser if you want. You want to be careful that you don't impregnate anything into this board, though, you know. So don't use oil or anything like that. It'll soak into that board and then short things out. Don't do it. You can think it, just don't do it. All right, so it's very easy to clean up. And then I put a little super lube on it. Dielectric grease. Again, dielectric because then it won't conduct electricity through the grease. If you were to put conductive grease on there, it would short out every one of those pins because the grease is touching all of them and cause a big fire. Don't do that. So a little bit of this goes a long way. And you might say, if it's dielectric, if it doesn't conduct electricity, doesn't that screw you up whenever the little point hits the contact? There's some kind of physics involved where whenever the gap gets really small, it conducts electricity. Have you ever seen electricity jump through the air? Yep, you have. But air is a electrical insulator, right? But it can do it, right? So the reason you put it on there is because you want that to move smoothly. You're trying to grease the friction on the pins rubbing across those contacts. So you want to get rid of the friction, which the grease does. And you don't want it to conduct because you would short all of them out. And when that little metal shoe is touching the metal rivet, there's still a layer of grease between it, but it conducts through it because it's small enough. So it works perfect. It's the way to go. And I didn't invent that, by the way. The Gottlieb's came with that from the factory, a similar thing. And so now, as you can see, it is resetting and stepping beautifully, partially because I put Super Lube on it. So if you want some of this, you can get it at hardware stores usually, or you can get it on my website too. There's a link to it on Amazon. If you go to my website and get it, and it takes you to Amazon, anything you buy on Amazon after you click the link on my website gives us a little tip. It gives us a percentage of the whatever you buy on there. So you don't have to buy this. You can go on there and buy a sweatshirt. It gives us a little piece of your sweatshirt. And it's made in the USA. One of my favorite things about it. Okay, so that thing's ready to go. Put it back in there. And the only thing left is we got to clean up that Jones plug. We're probably going to have to rebuild this chime unit eventually. It might sound all right whenever we play it, but we'll figure out. I've got to clean up those Jones plugs, and then I'm going to clean up the Jones plugs for the Playfield and slide it back in. And that's all I want to do with the Playfield. And then we're going to see if the thing will do anything better. All right, folks, so I put it all back in there. Like I said, I cleaned off the Jones plugs. Now, if I remember correctly, it's been a few days since I started this video. You just saw it not too long ago. I think the problem was it just kept scoring, right? And it never reset all the way back. So that may not be fixed because that could be a score reel problem. Let's see what it does if I pull this chain and turn it back on. Okay, it says tilted. I don't know if you can see it. See it blinking? It says it's tilted. Oh, look, they've got a blinker in one of the eyeballs. That's pretty cool. If I hit the left flipper button, that doesn't do anything. Let me try putting a credit on it. Somebody came in. Okay, let's just try hitting start and see what happens. Because we've got 9 credits. Okay, well at least it stopped the scoring. It didn't kick the ball out. It does say ball and play 1. I don't remember if it said that before. The flippers are working. Let's see if it'll score it all. No, scoring is not working. But remember, we haven't done anything to the Playfield, and we haven't done anything to the back box. We do have a insert missing, so we'll have to find that. I'll have to look back at the video to see if it was here before. I don't see it laying on the floor anywhere. Maybe. If we had it, it's still here somewhere. Okay, so we got plenty left to do, right? But at least we've got everything down on the bottom of it cleaned, and I think we've stopped it where it was doing the scoring over and over thing. If you think about it, those wires that we were messing with were all right back there where the Playfield plugs in on the bottom. So there could have been a couple touching, and it could have been why it was doing it and wouldn't stop before. But who knows? We'll get deeper into it next time. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below. And hey, if you like these old Gottliebs, let me show you one of the best ones that we ever did on this video. We'll see you on the next one.